Greetings, this is the Timeshare Traveler. Today is episode 143, hard to believe, but I've been through 143 of these. Today's video is about dreaming about California, how HGVMax changes everything. So what I'll do is I'll go through how HGVMax changes everything and use HGVMax for road trips, and I'm using California as an example. And then I want to talk about how I work around the 6-month windows. For those of you who have historic Hilton, I'm able to work around that, and I'll tell you what I've done. And again, you can do mix and match. So I've set this up so that you can use part or all of it. And then what I've got is I've done the California. I just did California just as an example. You can do it for other parts of the country where there's now multiple locations, but I did California just as a good example. And I'll go through the sample of the locations you have to choose from and how you might make a trip out of that. All right, before I get into that, I'll tell you a little bit about the channel. I'll be right back. Hang in there. Hi, this is Cliff, and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. Welcome to my channel. The purpose of my channel is to educate those who love traveling in timeshares. I've been an owner for 15 plus years at timeshare ownership. I have elite ownership with Marriott, Hilton, and Worldmark. I have published over 100 timeshare video reviews, and I've published over 95 timeshare tips. I can be found on Facebook at Timeshare Trav, at Twitter, Timeshare Trav, and on the web at www.timesharetraveler.com. Well, you ask, how does HGVMax change everything? Well, before the launch of HGVMax, there were 3 locations in California, and they were really all in the same area, right in Carlsbad. And the next closest location, I think, probably would be Las Vegas. So that's kind of where we were before. After, there are 11 locations in California. The new locations include 2 in Palm Springs, 1 in Dana Point, which is really Capistrano Beach. There's two locations there. One north, just almost right by Pismo Beach, just north of that. There's the South Lake Tahoe. There's 2. I've stayed at one of them, and I'll be staying at the other one actually this weekend. And then there's San Francisco, the Club Donatello. And I couldn't remember for sure if that was in before, so it could have been 4 before, but I'm pretty sure that was an ad with the Diamond International. So what that means is it's not like 3 to 11. It creates an exponential opportunity for you, because now you have a lot more locations. And then again, my example being California, where I live, that creates huge opportunities for me to drive to different places, create all kinds of opportunities for weekends or for weekday getaways kind of things, whereas before that wasn't possible. The other thing which is really interesting, and I'll get into that in a little bit more let me talk about how I get around the 6 month. I'll leave it for that section. Ooh, a little teaser for you guys. And again, California was the example I used just because it's the one I'm close by and whatever. But there's plenty of opportunities throughout. Just the adding of the number of units, places to stay, has created a whole new opportunity for us. On to the next topic. Let's do a road trip. That's what you can do with HGVMax. You know, typical timeshare user, at least the way I'd used Hilton, is I fly to Hawaii, I stay in a location, everything's good. Or I go down to Southern California and I stay in one of the places. It's kind of I go one place, stay there. But that was traditional sort of pack up and fly or pack up and drive, go to one location. But now that's a fun alternative is drive across the country or within a region. In this case, I'm just talking within a region, but I've done it across the country. And I'm just using this as an example of a regional trip that kind of makes it into your, like having an RV, but it's, you know, obviously, in my opinion, nicer places. Those with RVs might dispute that, and each person has their opinion. I respect each opinion. But they can be used similarly now. And again, I'm going to, in the description down below, I'm going to list of the reviews I have done, and I'll be updating it as I stay in more of them, because I'm actually in the process of staying at a couple right now, and I've stayed at a couple already of the new properties, plus I've stayed at all 3 of the original Hilton Grand Vacations. And again, I mentioned Lake Tahoe. I'll be posting those over the next month or so. So anyway, check back for those reviews, and then you can come back and actually plan out your own trip. So hopefully this will be really helpful. Okay, so let me talk about the 6-month window. That's the new thing with HGVMax. Everyone's like, oh, we need 9 months. Well, maybe not. At least I'm so far not finding that it's all that big a deal. I got New Year's Eve in in Phoenix, Arizona, and so I was quite happy. We did that within the 6-month window. So I stayed at the Tahoe Seasons Resort, all within the 6-month window. I'm staying at the Hilton Grand Vacation Club this weekend using Hilton Honors Points. So here's a little trick. This was one of my tricks I want to tell you. Always take the points. Always take the points when you do owner updates. That way you can stay using those points at these resorts. And here's the thing. They set aside inventory thinking that they'll get people who are Hilton Honors people to come, and then they'll offer them the opportunity to buy timeshares. But that inventory that's set aside, they don't know that just because I have Hilton Honors points that I'm already an owner. So I just booked them, and I booked them literally a week before I was going to go for 2 nights, Thursday through Saturday. It was great, and it was like quite a few points. You'll see that in the review. But it was able. The other secret I want to tell you is I could have just booked 1 night, but I actually booked 2. The Hilton clubs, instead of the 3-night minimum, I've noticed they only have a 2-night minimum. So that's kind of interesting. It makes it much easier to do the weekends. I'm not sure if that's going to change over time, but right now both the Hilton clubs I've been in have 2-night minimum, so I'm turning it into a weekend getaway to South Lake Tahoe. My other choice is stay off peak. That seems to be, the 6-month window seems to be working. And I think this is going to improve. I still think there's some resorts not really available, and they don't have all the rooms. I think they're still struggling with how to allocate inventory. And I still think that hasn't changed. That's been my experience looking at it. So I think that's all I have. Don't forget, take the points for all the owner updates. That way you can stay at the locations using Hilton Honors Points. Staying at a 1-bedroom, having a great time this weekend, hopefully. Anyway, there's a little tip on how you can make this work. Make HGVMax change the way you vacation. My next point is I have all 11 resorts. That doesn't mean you need to do all 11 at any one time. I've listed out the points for the 1-bedroom, and I just use the 1-bedroom peak and off peak. And I've done it by points and what that is per night, per week. And the reason I did per week is I don't know when, if you're doing a driving trip, if you'd be there Saturday through Sunday. So you can kind of use it as a ratio. The points are similar. There's a little more, they're a little higher, a little lower, but they're basically fairly similar. So you can sort of budget out. If you're doing 1 week, it's this amount, or 2 weeks, you can sort of get a sense based on what you want to choose, or even less than a week, you can sort of figure that out. So, because Friday and Saturday are more points, and Sunday through Thursday are less. So it's hard for me to do a daily rate and make that budgetary. But when I do it by week, and so you sort of just average out the weeks, that'll give you a reasonable budget. And again, this is how I think of it, using like an RV. My RV gets 35 miles a gallon. That's my joke. And that's because my car gets 35 miles a gallon. Again, you travel off peak, you can obviously stay longer because the points are lower. Okay, so that gives you some options. Let me show you the map now. And let me apologize first for a little bit of the eye chart. Oh, sorry about that. It's the red dots. You're not seeing red. There are red dots. And those are the resorts. If you start at the upper right, you see there's actually just 1 dot, but there's actually 2 resorts. That's Lake Tahoe. And then you go to the left, which is San Francisco. That's the Club Donatello. You head down to the first dot down. That's the San Luis Bay. I believe it's San Luis Bay Inn. And that's in right by Pismo Beach. Then you jump down further down, and there's actually 2 resorts in the Capistrano. There's a cluster there of 4. I'm starting at the ocean, then from one most north, there's 2 there. That's the Capistrano, the beach spa resort, and the shores resort. And then you move down a little further south, and there's actually 3 resorts in there. That's the traditional Marbrusa Sea Point, and I'm forgetting the name of them. They're listed there, and I'll show you in detail. And then slightly in is the one, the new recent one in Ramona. It's kind of inland in the hills in San Diego. And the far right but south, that's the 2 resorts in Palm Springs. So that's kind of the layout. So if you're planning a driving trip, or if you're flying into California, you want to do one, and you just want to cluster there in Southern California, which is probably the biggest group of them. Then you've got 2, 5, 6, 8 resorts. They're kind of wrapped up together like that, pretty close. I think it's 7 or 8. So anyway, there you have it. There's the map. Let me give you a little details about each one of the resorts now. Okay, now we're going to talk about the sample, and here you've got Marbrisa and Pacific Palisades and Sea Point Resort. So the Marbrisa and the Pacific Palisades are the same. It's about $1,100 during the peak seasons, and it's about $760 for the off-peak. Sea Point's, because it's right on the oceans, everything's kind of the plus version of that. So it's about $1,400 for the week in a one-bedroom, or about $1,000 if you're off-peak. And then there's two in Tahoe, and the Tahoe Seasons Resort. It doesn't have full kitchens in many of the units, so it's around $1,000 in the peak, or $760 again. And then the more traditional vacation club is a little bit higher, $1,400 peak and about $1,050 off peak. So again, they're running between $1,100 and $1,400. So you can sort of look at them all the same. And then Palm Canyon Resort in Palm Springs peak season is $1,313. So again, it's in that same range, and $1,100 off peak. And again, I would mention, I didn't list the super cheap summer when it's really hot. And then the others are the two Riviera Beach and Spa Resort and the Riviera Shores Resort. Those are the ones in Capistrano, and they're the same. The Shores Resort doesn't have, it's all one season. And Riviera Beach and Spa Resort is $1,117 and $920 something during the off-peak. And then the Oaks Resort and Racquet Club, that's the one in the hills in San Diego. It's roughly the same prices as the beach spa. San Luis Bay Inn is the one near Pismo, and it's a little bit over $1,100 for the one bedroom and $840 in the off-peak. There's actually a lower season that's even less, but that's right after Christmas in the first weeks after that. And then lastly, the resort Club Donatello in San Francisco, which is and it's only a studio. It's not a one bedroom. They only have the studios in San Francisco. So it's $1,176 for the week, or $840 off peak. And I consult with that to find out those weeks and everything. But there you have it. Hope you liked all this information. It's a lot of information, but really, HGVMax changes everything. You can actually drive around, and you can see a lot of California, and it's actually throughout the United States. To me, there's huge benefits of HGVMax over the traditional before they added all the Diamond resorts. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe.